Macmillan Audio presents The Hunting of Hillary, the 40-year campaign to destroy Hillary Clinton by Michael D'Antonio. Read for you by Gabra Zackman. Introduction. There's not one shred of evidence that President Trump has done anything wrong. At Graham Ledger, One America News. So true, a total witch hunt all started illegally by crooked Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump, via Twitter, March 10th, 2019. By March of 2019, 2 years into his first term, the 45th President of the United States had issued more than 200 social media attacks on the woman he had defeated in the 2016 election. His allies in Congress and across the country had joined in the vilification, barking Hillary Clinton's name every time events imperiled their man in the White House. Days after Trump's March 10th tweet, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina took to the floor of the United States Senate to draw attention to Clinton's mishandling of emails years before. "Any American out there who did what Secretary Clinton did, you'd be in jail now," announced Graham. "The question I want to know is, does anybody other than me believe that?" The spur for Graham's question was not a groundswell of public demand for the former Secretary of State to be imprisoned. Voters were little interested in this issue. Instead, Graham was seeking to deflect attention from the imminent completion of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of Russian meddling in the same election that had installed Trump in the Oval Office. Having joined a crowd of rabidly pro-Trump congressional Republicans, the senator uttered her name as if it were part of an evil eye curse intended to save the president. Graham, like Trump, had come to regard the Mueller probe as a destructive enterprise with little public purpose. The president went much further, bellowing the words witch hunt hundreds of times, and castigating his critics in the crudest terms. Especially fixated on women who opposed him, Trump was venomous in his treatment of Representative Maxine Waters, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, and upstart congressional newcomer Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. However, time and again, he resurrected his favorite enemy, Hillary Clinton, as if she possessed powers that made her more or less than human, and thus someone to be feared despite her retirement from politics. The Hillary as enemy reflex was so much a part of Trumpism that true believers went to ridiculous extremes as they imitated the president. In the summer of 2019, when the wealthy sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in his jail cell, a Trump appointee at the Department of Housing and Urban Development suggested that somehow his death had been Hillary Clinton's fault. This theme circulated widely among conspiracy theorists who speculated that she was to blame for numerous deaths. In truth, Clinton had always been regarded by her opponents as more monster than person, and they had devoted 40 years to rendering her evil. Unprecedented in American history, this concerted and continuous attack had established her as a kind of devil in the hearts of millions who had been persuaded that she was the embodiment of every negative stereotype that could be mustered against a powerful woman. She was, in this calculus, not just a complex and flawed human being, but, rather, scheming, untrustworthy, violent, greedy, cruel, and even murderous. As such, it wasn't enough for her to be defeated in an election. Instead, she had to be so humiliated and then obliterated that even history would forget her. Officials in Texas actually voted to remove her from history lessons taught in the state's schools, but reinstated her after a public uproar. The Texas School Board's decision was obviously intended to shape the minds of children who would not vote or even join adult society for years to come. By then, it would seem, Clinton, and perhaps the whole notion of women asserting direct claims for power, would be forgotten, at least in Texas. However, in the short term, the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?